But in those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. And the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. Sounds incredibly foreboding and ominous. Over the years, great preachers have used this image and others like it to tell followers that the second coming of Christ was to be greatly feared, and it was imminent. We should be in great concern. Heaven and earth would soon be passing away. Destruction would soon be upon us. The end is nigh. Perhaps you can relate to these words of impending doom as we sit and wait out this pandemic that surrounds us and brings us great angst. As we hear of numbers and statistics, real lives impacted or lost. It's a constant heaviness and a cloud of fear that can affect our faith, our hopes, our dreams. Perhaps this year, more than any other in recent history, these words from our Bible make sense to us and feel incredibly relevant. A darkness is known to us. But I think we need to be very careful in how we understand what Jesus was saying in this passage from Mark's Gospel. For the second coming of Christ might not be this tale of impending doom. The second coming of Christ might just look a lot like the first coming and be filled with healing and hope. Filled with God coming to us, urging us to be changed by the good news of the kingdom. Filled with encounters that all of us have experienced, where we know that indeed God is known amongst us. Filled with a light that pushes back the darkness, even the darkness of a pandemic. For there were some central words hidden amongst the dark and the foreboding images. Words of salvation and grace. Words that affect how we view this world, our lives, and ourselves. Words that link us with God. Words that bring great hope even to us here and now. For Jesus said, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away." These are words that we need to hear. Despite all that might take place all around us, Jesus' words will not pass away. His words of God being near and concerned with our lives. God being present and walking with us. Words of a kingdom in which we currently live. Words that touch our very soul and very being. Words of compassion and love and forgiveness. Words of Emmanuel. God is with us, now and always, even beyond this world. Those incredible images of the sun, the moon, and the stars that we heard in the gospel, if you can move past the darkness of them, the images evoke such a sense of wonder for me. Over the last number of months, I've become particularly interested in the moon and other planets, the stars present in our night sky. As I look up, even here in the city, the moon's light, the appearance of several stars reminds me that we are part of something much greater. While we face this pandemic, while drug overdoses increase, while famine still exists, while the number of refugees continues to increase, while the gap between rich and poor expands, looking up to the night sky, there is a reminder that we exist within a universe that continues to expand and grow. A universe with much different priorities and goals and purpose. We are part of something much bigger than ourselves. even if we don't always acknowledge it or pay it much attention. A massive universe in which God is present and known and revealed, and we do not always recognize our tininess within the grandness. As the words of Isaiah this morning reminded us that God is the potter and we are but the clay. We are the work of God's hands. Light pollution, for most of us city dwellers, blocks out our view of the stars at night. Light pollution and constant movement along the roadways and pathways of our busy planet blocks out our sense of wonder and beauty of the night sky. Light pollution and a sense of control and domination of things in this world blocks out our sense of fascination, of the grandeur of it all, and that the Holy One who set in motion still wants to connect with us and our prayers and our priorities. Light pollution and time and patience and our willingness to be inspired blocks our view of stars whose light has traveled for thousands of years to join us and be visible to us. A light that breaks into the darkness of this world, bearing a message of infinity and eternity, just waiting for us to notice and pay more attention and focus. I hear Jesus' words of the sun being darkened and the moon not giving its light, the stars falling from the heaven. And in those words, I'm awakened to draw our attention to greater vigilance. He called us to keep awake, to keep perspective, to keep watch, to pay attention, to seek light in the darkness, to seek a vision of where we are called to be, to stand out on a dark night and notice the stars, the grandness of the universe, the presence of God, the wonder of creation, the beauty all around us that speaks of God known amongst us. To stand out on a dark night and hear God say to us, "You are beloved." To stand out on a dark night and allow God to break into our small world with a whole new perspective and transformation. To stand out on a dark night and say with confidence, "Your words will never pass away." To stand out on a dark night and welcome God coming to us once again, God coming to be with us, God coming and breaking bread with and for us. We've now entered the beginning of the church's year and the season of Advent, a time of preparation and renewal, a fresh beginning and a new pilgrimage with God, of anticipation of Jesus coming to us once again, urging us to pay attention to his words of the grandness and wonder of God, to pay attention to the kingdom of God that is seen all around us and within us. Today we have donned our purple and lit the first candle of our wreath. We have marked this as time set apart to push back against the darkness and welcome new light. A time to focus on a second coming of Christ, not filled with violence and destruction, but one of renewed hope and letting the light of God grow. A time of seeking this light in the darkest time of the year, and in one of the dark times of the history of the world. A time of spiritual growth and anticipation, that we walk in this world on a pilgrimage and with a purpose. A time of seeing that God came to us in Jesus and continues to come to us and urges us to stay awake to Emmanuel, God with us, now and always. Amen.